Hey people, thanks for tuning in to The Raven's Voice. This is Zealous here, hosting with Tierson.
That's right, you can call me Magnum P.I.
Way too many 80s vibes coming in. That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, there's
though.
no such thing as too many 80s vibes.
That's a good thing. Yeah, we were talking about, things we, could potentially use or goof around with. And it's tough to kind of keep some of these in your head. I think the ones we've used and the ones we have, but we try to keep a running list of these, and man, each time I hear one of these, I go back and I'm like, did I finish that show? How many episodes of that did I actually see,
Magnum P.I. is so much older. I know it, obviously. I saw it in syndication when I was a kid, but I never really watched it regularly. That must have been a trip back then. These shows were so corny in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're even cornier than I am. Oh man, it's so awesome though. But yeah, guns and mustaches and Mustangs and in the beach and chicks in bikinis. That's Magnum P.I. That is infinite. Doesn't matter when that was done. That is forever. Those are always great and classic.
Always. And in fact, I think just a moment before we started, I think when you went to get water, and if I have this correct, that you did grow a mustache. Just by having the PI theme. Yeah.
I had the theme going. And
see?
I have a mustache now. It came in in 15 seconds just because I was doing something cool. See the Magnum PI. We do have to comment, though. We didn't do a show last week.
We did not.
First time in 10 months.
First time.
We went almost a year without doing a show. We did not do a show. We didn't even announce we weren't going to do a show. We just didn't, and I don't think anyone missed us. Well, no one said anything. Of course, we didn't really give them a platform to say anything, but because they're used to us posting something every week. So, no show last week. We took a week off.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't a huge surprise, but I found it kind of interesting that at least TM Raven or Aridin Stephan, because there was one other time I got ultra busy and I was super late with the post, and I think if you go back and in fact if you look at the ACL archive just for our threads, that was I think the one thread that TM Raven started because he was wondering, it's where's TRV going to be this week? But then again, it was already announced that a show was coming, so that was the reason too. But no, yeah, is what it is. Yes, but it's good.
No show. So to all you subscribers, oh wait, there are none. It's all and always free.
No.
So,
man. So
sorry guys, we took a week off. It was much needed, at least on my part.
Yeah, it just things like this pop up, especially when you just get really, really intense periods of, being just really busy and things like that. I know Tierson here, he has really heavy schedule. I've come close a few times, but usually our recording night lines up pretty well for how things sit. So it is what it is. But yeah. But hey, check this out. Do not forget, I got this time. You can mail us, Raven's Voice, acl@gmail.com. You can come on by our site, theravensvoice.com, and go ahead and check out Armored Core Legacy if you're looking for AC topics.
Yeah, but nobody emails, so.
But we just talked about an email the other week.
Yeah, well, actually, we did get an email about it from our last topic, which was about the upcoming buyout next week from software.
Yeah, we did.
We did get an email, but we answered everything on that pretty much.
Yeah.
The topic was fairly general, and so we pretty much hit on that topic.
Yeah. And yeah, to be honest, we just like to make fun of ourselves all the time about the lack of mail we get anyway. That's more fun than actually getting mail. So
waiting on cookie recipes.
Still want them. I'm serious about that.
Yep.
Not even.
If we want to guarantee that we won't get any emails at all, we can just have another contest.
Then you won't.
I'm gonna poke at the community about that forever, especially those critics over in the. The Gen 3 and lower, all those guys that love the game so much and think that we focus too much attention on new gen and current gen stuff. Whatever, guys. Whatever. We softballed that frickin' thing.
Way slow.
None of you had the sack to try.
Abby did.
He did. Well, yeah, there was a winner.
Yeah.
There was a winner. Somebody won, but yeah. Jeez. Now, some of those questions we had before, and yeah, no.
Yeah.
That would have been a bit much. But anyway, so I got to
Yeah.
poke fun at that every time I can.
Oh no.
So another throwaway show. I guess somebody actually thought that I was going to talk about NASCAR. Sorry, sorry to scare you about that, Sash. Honestly, you should have known better. But it's kind of funny because apparently we're supposed to talk about somebody here.
Yeah, we are, and timely you bring that up. Now, it's so easy to get these crossed, and I think just for the sake of it, I want to talk about both. Because first we had the demand from Belly Rose, pilot, is saying, "Hey, talk about Belly Rose," and then following that, which is just a genius stroke here by AG, talk about Berlioz instead. So you know what? I'm gonna take a second and talk about Berlioz instead, just for a moment. Berlioz is a pilot I've not thought about in a while here. This was the intro AC from Armored Core 4. Those of you who checked out the opening CG, kind of patented rather, the spin into rifles, kind of like White Glint. You really didn't see this AC a whole lot during missions. I think the main one it showed up in was Marsh O'Sup-Lease near the end, where you went up against the huge squad of Next. Quoting Fiona Jarnefeld a bit here, Berlioz's combat record is nearly peerless. He is extremely flexible in his thinking, even amongst originals. He will even use parts provided by multiple corporations to fulfill his mission, and you can't argue with what comes out of that. So there you have it. Berlioz really kind of toted the old school GNL look. I think it was a crack at trying to say I'm the 9-ball of this game, but not really, because he even had kind of like the Mayfly style head, e.g. the Alia. It was the Alia frame, if you remember the Ray Leonard build. But yeah, he ran his what was it? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Was it like Motocobra with GNL and some of the other things? But he had his back grenade. He dashed around 1,000,000 miles an hour, and whoever voice acted him though for that, he only had a couple lines, but I liked him. Whoever that was. But it was just
this guy.
No, not this time.
I was still recouping from being Archangel Pulverizer.
Yeah, well, that was a rough role, man. I mean, to warp your voice like that, shoot.
Super Archangel Pulverizer.
So, that's a little bit about Berlioz, and in the Pulverizer here. Not gonna lie, first time I saw Belly Rose's name, I assumed like, oh hey, someone's named themselves after Berlioz, and I even saw the emblem.
Why would somebody name themselves after an AC4 Gen character?
Because people name themselves after 9-ball and stuff like that.
That's 9-ball.
Well, that's 9-ball, but then you have like your Cloud 687, your Sephiroth Omega Hack. People do this all the time. So,
Super Archangel Pulverizer.
See, that I haven't seen yet, and I don't know why. At least in terms of a name. Well, I mean, you are it. I don't have to question that. But in terms of on a forum. And then the Avatar.
Sorry.
No. And then the Avatar. I've never seen someone with that either. Go on.
I was just going to say, so, I mean, this is obviously some sort of troll. I wonder if this topic, I wonder if it's where it was intended to be. But, yeah, okay, so there it is. I missed it. I had to talk to Zealous about it because I didn't play Gen 4 enough to know who the hell that was. So, and I believe this was in 4 Answer, wasn't it?
4. Original 4.
Oh, so it was an original. Okay, so yeah, I didn't play it long enough then. So, and I was going to say, if it was in 4 Answer, then I didn't play it at all.
So that's to say,
Is that bad of me? I always feel a little bad because I don't have much time with Gen 4. I always feel a little bit. It's like, oh, maybe this is a chapter of the series that I don't know much about, and I always kind of feel that I'm better off for that. But for having a podcast about the series and stuff, I've never gotten any shit for it, but I always feel a little bad about it.
It's I think it's one of those things. Is if you've stuck with the Armored Core series a long time, you'll know that you like to kind of chronicle this stuff, right? It's just something fun to keep in your head. Not that, oh my gosh, I'm missing out like on something amazing here, but more like, I've kind of seen each generation of AC and roughly what each generation gave, and I don't know. It's just a really perspective thing. Kind of helps with your overall look.
Yeah, do you think the 3 hours I actually spent with Gen 4, do you think that's enough to encompass Gen 4? Was that enough? I felt like it was enough. Fuck this, and I turned off my PS3. I'm like, that's enough. It's good lord.
Pretty much. But I mean, I think like lore wise, maybe and stuff like that, people would say no, because there's a couple fun things to go with. I think back to AC4. The first thing that comes to mind for me is if I think about just pilots, Anjo and Berlioz, and Berlioz because well he was in the intro. So,
Rose.
oh man, but that should be a cereal. I don't know why that's not a thing. I would buy those in a heartbeat. But
Get a cereal.
yeah, Berlioz, man, I take that over Cheerios. Shoot.
Damn, we have to make that commercial now.
Berlioz. So check this out. Hey, Belly Rose. Here's or Bailey Rose, however you want to say that. Here's the question. Okay, we laid out Berlioz's record a bit. Okay, this is what I want to ask, and what I want to ask those who posted in the thread too in this community. What are Bailey Rose's feats compared to Berlioz's feats? I mean, are you an extremely flexible thinker even among originals? I mean, do you use a GNL? We use parts from any corporation. I mean, are you that ruthless? I mean, what's the deal? Kind of want to know. If
I
you
have to
got
be honest with you. You've completely lost me on this topic. I've lost interest on it completely because you brought up Armored Core cereal, and now I want Armored Core cereal. How awesome would it be to have Armored Core cereal?
I freaking sweet.
Little pieces of little cereal pieces of like a core, a Kurosawa, and like pieces and stuff, and like you're and like you have marshmallows like Lucky Charms, the Moonlight.
You
That's a
read my
that's
mind.
a that's a
That's next one I was about to
marshmallow,
mention. Yep.
and how awesome would that be? There could be a little 9-ball marshmallow, little logo or something, emblem, little 9. That how awesome would oh my god! I mean that shit would obviously not be in existence anymore, but I would have bought in like crates of it, and I'd still be eating as old as old and stale as it would be sitting there muscling my way through my Armored Core cereal after 5 or 6 years. Like, no, it's good.
No, 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 it's still good. And don't worry if you do get some very terminal illness or sickness from that, it's all right. You go to the hospital, you tap out, you lose your cash, and you just become op-eye. It's okay. It doesn't matter if you fail. So
the only way to get real op-eye is eat Armored Core cereal and get sick. That happens. From Software comes in. They take you over to Japan and they turn you into op-eye.
See, that's how it goes down.
Then they turn you off when Kaudakawi buys you. And
yeah. Then it's over. Then you'll stop flying around with cannons and all that stuff, which I think is a pretty flawless segue into a little piece of news Cheng shared with us.
Now I don't know if this came into public. I haven't looked at the forums that much today, but he shared this in the staff section, and he just linked this, and we haven't actually had a chance to read both articles. The From Software being bought out by Kadokawa is not the only thing happening here.
It's not. The main link I looked into because I had a heads up about a third group involved in this. I said, who the heck could that be? It's there is a note here about the Dwango Corporation, and I hadn't even looked into Dwango, but just after some short digging, Dwango is apparently it's a Japanese like media and telecom company. It's best known for its work with Nico Video, that platform, and it's a subsidiary, or actually, there's another group called Niwango. We're going to say that's a subsidiary of it. So if those of you who have checked out Nico, you remember that this is essentially sort of like YouTube on JP's side, but it's got like more features and it's like more expanded, and there's a lot of early contents released for gaming, anime, all kinds of things like that. But that's a major platform for media in Japan. So what I take from this at least is Dwango equals Nico, and then you put the Kadokawa next to the From Software merger. It's odd here, there's this this statement that a Kadokawa advisor made about, we aim to establish the world's leading platform for content, which would serve as a business model in the internet age. So take that for what you will. The fact that we're sitting here waiting, to hear the rest of this news as the merger with From closes, and then it's like, well, there's these other guys, coming in, and now it's potentially coming into, a media force, media giant of some sort. So
we've talked about this a little bit, and we had a staff meeting as we usually do for ACL on Sunday, and I'm still pretty much by myself in saying Armored Core is done, but in my opinion, this does nothing but put more nails in that
Pressure.
coffin. I
And
mean,
yeah,
this is even more signs that they are looking at bigger and better, or maybe not better, but at least bigger in other and different things. And
yeah,
that their plan for From Software is not to continue to focus on their pet project for the last 17 years, but to do other things.
and I think it's kind of good to keep that in frame of pet projects and projects that you want to work on. One thing I was saying in the show, we talked a bit about the merger, was that um, at the very least, the team who designed Armored Core is still together. They have not broken up. But in the same hand, when you have new overhead, especially now potentially a lot of new overhead and a lot of changes within a company, the demand is going to be different. At least where you allocate that talent, where that talent is expected to be working or what they're expected to be working on. And as that changes, you can't, well, you're part of something, a larger entity now. It's not as easy to make your own calls with that. If anybody here is a fan of the Blaze Blue series, you'll know, Maury, some of the others that worked on that. Uh, he did his work on Guilty Gear, right? When he was under his first group, and he really didn't have his room to really breathe and do Blaze Blue the way he wanted, and start his own game until he stepped out, right? He stepped out, and then he had, another kind of alliance that he started working with, but still he had more room there, right? He had the kind of time to focus on those projects and do that. So a whole lot in the air about that as to what the team will actually be allocated towards. But let's face it, at the end of the day, most of this comes down to dollars and cents, and
Right.
profit, and what titles produced or developed can help generate that. So
Well, no, so I'm reading one of these articles about this merger, and let's see, Katakawa advisor is quoted here in saying, "We aim to establish the world's leading platform for content, which would
hmm
serve as a new business model in the internet age."
hmm
Look at this from unbiased point of view, guys. I know it's hard, but where the hell does Armored Core fit in with that? It doesn't. It doesn't.
yeah, and if anything,
Four figures for 360, guys. Four figures.
and what we've heard here throughout all the language when this has been talked about, when they say Dwango, they pointed at Nico Nico. Katakawa has been linked to their books, their magazines, their film publishing, and a couple of games like Killer is Dead and a few things like that. But every time we see From Software mentioned in these articles, it's Dark Souls developer From Software. Dark Souls, so and I know that's probably the recognizable title in the public eye. There's still people you'll say Armored Core to today and say, what? I mean, that just goes right over some people's heads. But even still, when you hear that kind of language talked about, it's always just kind of surprising because that was their flagship. And when I see other companies talked about, hey, they're kind of known for these works and that work, but it's just always one thing From is localized to. I don't know. I find that kind of funny. So, whereas Dark Souls is a newer kid on the block that you see.
Very new too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's whatever. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope everybody points at me and says, when this merger, or the merger, when the actual buy happens on the 21st, and there'll be press about it, and they'll make a statement. It's like I said in Sunday's meeting. If we hear nothing about Armored Core from that, it's done. It's done. If they're not going to say anything to the fans about the series, it's done.
yeah,
How could, if they're going to do anything at all, how could they not say something?
yeah.
It's going to come around though, and I hope I'm wrong.
hmm
I hope they announce Armored Core 6, and I hope it's going to be a continuation to try to make the series awesome, and not some merger of Armored Core and Lollipop Chainsaw. Um, if it's going to be Armored Core, and it's going to be Armored Core in, people can say what they want about Gen 5 and, whether they like or don't like it. It is still within the realm of of the heart of Armored Core. It is
Yeah,
still trying to be Armored Core. It's still, it's still that. If they're going to try to do that again, I hope I'm wrong. And I will
yeah,
eat crow all goddamn day and apologize up and down. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, I'll do it. I'll do it. But no, I'm not wrong.
Well, if you know, if in the unlikely event, if you do have to end up eating crow, the next time we hang out, we're gonna pop in Silent Line, and
Right.
I'm shredding the right, and I'm gonna use that band part on you. You will sit and you will take full crow extensions.
Oh, yeah, no, and I'll sit there. I'll sit there eating crow and I'll eat my Armored Core cereal and with crow, and that's, by the way, also marshmallow ravens in your Armored Core cereal, little black marshmallow ravens. Um, yeah, I'll eat it all day. And I'll sit there with a mouthful saying "Siren drying." No, I'll do it all day long. But like you guys used to say, I was freaking Jacko
Yeah.
when it came to moving, ironically, to the previous gen, the PS3 and 360, and saying how much it was gonna suck, and the separation of the community because of the platforms, and I
But hey,
I wasn't wrong.
right,
It sucked
writings
that
on
I
the
wasn't
wall.
wrong, but
Writings on the wall for that. Hey, you called it.
this is an easy one, though. I mean, that actually took. Yeah, I had to really look past my passion and my love for the series, and we're talking the end of Gen 3 here, which was a little stagnant near the end, but still there was a passion there. That was tough for me to do. This one's just so obvious. From Software's their bitch.
Yeah.
From Software is there to make crappy games for their comics and their cartoons and all their stories so that they can make good money off it. From Software, I'm sure I have not seen the numbers. Someone, if you have them, please share them, because this buyout is from an actual, they bought all the stock. They bought 80% of the stock of wherever the hell that is over in Japan with that. I bet you came real cheap. Because From Software, with the exception of Dark Souls, is in the shitter.
Yeah, I mean, if one thing to look at through these, and I dug up some figures in this. I don't have them in front of me at the moment. But this could be a thing if you care about looking at it. Company profiles, and this goes in like company size, what each one is worth. And that's something you can kind of spy from a distance and kind of get an idea of, the exactly what's going on with the merger. I almost guarantee if you try and do a search on Forbes for something like this, you can probably dig up something. You'll probably be linked to an article too, because I'm pretty sure this popped up over on Forbes too. But that's there. They talk about the currency, the dollar to the yen and vice versa, and conversion. If you really want to dig into that, I'm sure that's out there. So
I
crazy.
This makes me wonder a little bit, because what was the name of the very first Dark Souls game? It was different.
Demon
Demon
Souls.
Souls,
Yeah.
right? And then Dark Souls, if I remember, was basically like a recreation, kind of a sequel recreation of that.
Mhm.
And it was called Demon Souls because From Software worked with Sony. That was a joint production.
Mhm.
I wonder. I wonder how that all happened. I'm gonna have to look into that. I wonder if From Software had to buy that out, or because, I mean, obviously they recreated it because because of licensing issues. But I mean, it came out on the PlayStation. There obviously had to be some kind of agreement to this. I'm wondering how much that cost From Software
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do what they did, and because Dark Souls 1 and 2 has done well,
Oh yeah.
but has it done well enough for them to be able to come back from whatever it costs them to do it? That's the question, and
Right.
that's what happens. And it's like, oh, Dark Souls is doing so well. Okay, yeah, but maybe it's not doing as well as they thought, as well as they projected. Maybe they're still losing their ass off of it, because
Mhm.
we talk about this and how front Armored Core is just, it's just done so poorly. And it's, but then people are like, oh, well, Dark Souls, yeah, but maybe they haven't recouped off of that like they thought they would.
Yeah. If anything, if some of you remember this, the last time this was linked, this was back during, this is right before Verdict Day's release. We were talking about the From Software company profile. There's an interview out there on YouTube. I think that's the very title, like From Software company profile. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's got subtitles to it, but it's like a walkthrough of From Studios, and they talk with both teams, the Armored Core team, Mr. Zine, and then the team that did Dark Souls, Demon Souls. They just do a tour of all of it, and they actually talk about that. The producer picks up a copy of Demon Souls and talks about how it was an unexpected hit. How, I mean, obviously, they put the necessary energy into it, but they didn't expect it to do as well as it did. So, I mean, this is just total conjecture. Just from the language there, I'm going to assume that was a net gain. But the other two, the current two we have, Dark Souls, I'm not certain. I'm really not
Well,
certain.
I mean, you have to ask, why would they even want to get the full rights to this series? And that is
Right.
because they released it on the PC. Did they release it on the 360?
It's a good question.
I'm gonna find
I
out.
want to
Why don't you go
say
ahead and talk, and I'll find
no
out real quick here.
problem. No, I really can't. I really can't recall that one. I all I know is when I see especially when I saw Dark Souls 2 hit, it was a big deal with the people on PS3. And I jumped on and I'd see about 12, 16 people on my friends list. Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2. I'm like, holy frick! So the crowd for it is there, at the very least, and um,
Yes, it did come out on the Xbox.
yeah. So there you go. I mean,
That's what they wanted, I bet.
yeah, consistent, multi-platform. So funny.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting, and
Yeah.
maybe if I actually have some time, these are the kind of things I think about, but I don't have the time to actually research them like I used to. So I don't know if somebody else has got the time. I think we might have some answers in there as to why this all went down, because that is
Yeah.
the question. And when we talked about this ourselves, like, okay, yeah, but Armored Core sucked, but with Cookie and Cream, they should have been just fine.
And you
the
know it.
the billions made off of Cookie and Cream.
Well, I mean, that was
That's been
right up
funding
there.
Armored Core for years.
That was right up there with GTA 5. I mean, shoot. So, cookies and cream.
Cookie and Cream.
That game.
Seriously, if you don't know what game we're talking about, that's fine, because we delve pretty far and pretty deep into the From Software lore to talk about Cookie and Cream.
If you if you do a quick search and go check that out, if you have again no idea where we're going with that, you'll be kind of baffled as to wait, Armored Core and then this? How can welcome to From. There you go.
Cookie and Cream. It's something that doesn't get talked about. It's a dead series pretty much now,
Yeah.
and we haven't brought it up, but we talked about it a little while ago when we were talking about From Software's games and hits and such. Tenchu,
yeah.
Tenchu. It's a From Software thing. That's back in the late PS1 and early PS2 era. Didn't play any myself. I had a friend who had one. He rented it, and he got hooked on the series. So I saw it played quite a bit. Very interesting. Very early on into the stealth, the creation of the stealth genre.
Mm-hmm. And this was also how close was Metal Gear? The Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation. How close was that to Tenchu? I
don't know. But I mean, you had Tenchu and then Splinter Cell.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at From Software being innovative again.
Yep.
And look how far that went.
So yeah, I mean, shoot, the line was cast there. You had a really unique product, but it's just something that ultimately didn't endure in that fashion. On into the future. Now, Splinter Cell went on with a number of titles. I guess you could sort of classify Metal Gear in that section, but Metal Gear was going well before that. Metal Gear was on NES anyway, and then that became a thing. I mean, that went on to PS2, and then that jumped on to PS3. So
Splinter Cell was my personal toe in the water of the whole stealth genre. I think it was Splinter Cell 2 I had a lot of fun with it, but goddamn, when I play video games, I don't have that kind of patience.
Right.
I'd be crawling up, and I'm gonna get him, and I'd be like, oh, fuck it, and I'd start shooting shit. I can't.
Oh, man.
I couldn't do it. I mean, even, and I had plenty of experience, because I was not a Resident Evil geek. I was the Resident Evil geek for years and years, up before it sucked. And so we're talking Resident Evil 4 and beyond. I mean, we're old school stuff. So I'm used to having to hold off on bullets.
Yep.
And, and being careful. But no, that stealth stuff, I mean, it was fun at times, but Jesus. Sometimes I just didn't have the patience for it. I'm just like, no, all right, I'm going to go back to giant robots. There's no stealth in giant robots.
Oh, man. If anything, man, I remember the old Resident Evil series. My first exposure to that was RE2. And
there it is.
Yeah, I just remember like what took me in, it's funny, I'm surprised I didn't see a game like it before, were the camera angles. Some of the rooms you'd step in, like it would be a corridor, and I guess you saw this in games like Final Fantasy VIII later on, but there would always be directions where to go. You'd step in a corridor and your camera would be panned not behind your character third person, but you'd be looking at yourself down the hall, and you get like maybe 70% down the hall, and then something just comes just bursting, on the
Hmm.
frame from. Oh my god.
People used to bitch about the camera frames
Yeah.
for that game. That was intentional.
Yep.
That was to build suspense. A lot of people didn't get it because this created a genre. This was the survival horror genre.
Yep.
This was to be like, at times like it was in a movie and you get the bad angle and you're like, oh my god, what's going on? I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Hmm.
That's how it's supposed to be played. That always drove me nuts that people back then, if you find old reviews and such, they would bitch about it. It's like, you don't get it. It's supposed to be like that.
Exactly. And it worked. I mean, I you
Yeah.
know I mean, I'm not like jumping out of my seat from that, but it was good. It was a good touch. I think back to some of those scenes and I'm like, it would have taken so much away if I was looking at that as like a first person or even like a third person over my shoulder. So
Resident Evil 1 is why I got a PlayStation. That and Mortal Kombat 3
classics.
is why I got a PlayStation 1. But Resident Evil really did. I remember, see, now that was a sleeper hit. And for those of you
Yeah.
who don't remember back then, that was give these guys a few bucks to make this game, and that was like Capcom's. I was joking about From Software using cookie and cream money to fund our record. Capcom is funding their entire company off of Resident Evil. Yes, I know what other games they have, and I don't care.
If anything, especially with Capcom now, they've kind of, man, they've really gone into the rehash circle.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah, that's part of it too. That's a shame.
yeah,
And unfortunately, I helped fund that way back in the day because with Resident Evil, there came Resident Evil Director's Cut,
yep.
which was awesome. But the cool thing about that was the demo of Resident Evil 2, which we played. We put that in first. We put that in the PlayStation first, and we play. Oh my god, we played the shit out of that demo. Oh my god. Every
Oh
little.
man.
Oh, my brother and I were the biggest nerds for that game. Oh, that that demo, that thing was so awesome. I have in my possession a first edition print or whatever creation of Resident Evil 1. Like even in the old bulky black
Holy cow.
cases for PlayStation that look like the DVD ones, I've got one of those. And I do keep good care of that. That thing's in pretty good condition. That is actually legit worth a lot of money.
That's legit. It's legit, dude.
Old school old school PS1, old school Resident Evil. Uh, yeah, the Resident Evil 2 was so good. Oh my
Good
god.
stuff. That kind of brings me to it. That's two. We're talking about rare, collectibles there too, or things that you guys still have that are like carryovers. Post that up in thread. You guys got something you think's like rare to hold on to, or that was like a collector's edition for the time? Like, what would you call the most valuable piece of your gaming collection, if you can name anything, if you even have anything? I'm kind of curious what's out there.
What do you think is some of the most valuable stuff for Armored Core at this point?
Valuable stuff for AC. I can tell you. Are we talking just in terms of only the games or merchandise, things like
Oh,
that too?
merchandise as well. Merchandise as well.
The first thing my mind immediately goes to is the Blue Zeo Matrix high end figure.
Yeah, that's rare, but you can still find that for less than $100.
Some places I have a really hard time digging that one out, dude. I barely even see that thing in eBay. I always see the other one, the Emerald AC, the
Hmm.
gray one. I see that plenty. You can get that, but I can't remember the last time I saw the Blue Zeo.
That thing actually hasn't gone up in price too much. I
Mm,
remember hunting for it. I didn't get it because I didn't have the kind of money back then. It's what 7, 8 years ago
right.
when I was collecting all those things. I have most of the action figures.
Hmm.
But that thing was going between $50 to $75, and I could never justify that. But I've never seen it for more than 100 now, so I don't think that's really doing it. I think the one thing, let's see, I don't know, it's weird because I think you have found it. The
Mm.
the first print of Armored Core 1, which is the one that you're still missing.
Ah, yeah.
Not under Age Tech, but ASCII.
Hmm. I think that would be a rarity. I mean, um, if anything, you can probably find this. I bet if you go to a convention. I don't know if anyone listening went to PAX in Boston this year. I'm going to go next year. I had a bunch of buddies that went. They said it was awesome. I'm going to go with them next time. I bet you could find it at a convention or a con, or like you go to a stand where they're selling a bunch of games at a major spot. I bet you could dig that one out. But that's not one you just walk into GameStop and pick up by any
No, no,
means.
it's kind of funny to me how quickly. I mean, it's really, if you think about it, it's only been 10 years since, not even maybe, since the PS1, basically since the PS2 came out and PS1 became an obsolete system. But again, I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be funny to me, but things, I mean, obviously there for years and for quite a long time, PS1 stuff was dirt frickin' cheap. And a lot
Yeah.
of it still is, but now a lot of that stuff is really expensive. I'm kind of surprised at how expensive some of the PS1 stuff is, and even some of the PS2 stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of it's up there. Like, I'm sure some of the major like collector's editions for some of the promotionals that were out, like those will probably still net like pretty well. But it's funny, even with Blue Zeos and everything included, there aren't too many things with AC that I tend to, or that I think the mini fans tend to instantly think of. Oh my gosh, there it is. That's like $1,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think even if you have the originals, even if you have like the Japanese versions, the collectors, there's not a whole lot because when the AC games were released, most of them simply had a release. There wasn't a ton of additional extra content version or
Right.
like gold edition. They were what they were. So for most of these, the best you can do is get the Japanese version and get the US version, and well, there you go. If anything, for AC merch, I think you're going to find the value more in like the model kits and stuff like that. Um,
Model. Really, you think the model kits?
I eventually, yeah, one. Let's track it. Let's track and see where this one goes in years' time. But I'll tell you one that did get pretty hard to find pretty quick. You're going to love this, White Glint.
Why?
Yeah.
No, no white glint marshmallows in your Armored Core cereal either. No.
Oh man, now you could still get this one. It's not impossible. I mean, heck, just go throw that in eBay. Guarantee you'll find that, right? But I just found that kind of funny. That's one that I saw come up a little bit even from when it first came out. I'm like, wait, already? Like this isn't really hasn't even been much time. So we'll see. But hey, according to statements, that's the Armored Core Mickey Mouse. So
No, I bet you probably the thing that's worth the most is that, like, the Gen 1 bio book that they came out talking about the ACs and all the
oh yeah, there's that book,
pilots.
isn't it?
Yep, and
Yeah.
where, like, I think the only pictures, now this is canon stuff. This
Yep.
is from Software. It's canon, but it's like the only thing that has actual pictures of Hustler 1 before he became a robot, or was it while he was a robot? I forget, because I believe at one point Nine Ball was actually driven by an actual pilot, or maybe that was like the cyborg version of the computer. I forget how that all works. When you fight Nine Ball, there is no half human, half robot anymore. It's all one big machine. But there's some
Right.
lore to that. And there's something to that. But yeah, that book, and it's even hard to find pictures of it on the internet. And I've never seen a complete version of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part. The page I remember, like what you're talking about, was the Nine Ball page, and then the Valkyrie page. I thought that was really cool. People posted translations of that. This is the legendary sniper pilot slash AC that we've seen some incarnation of in different points in the AC series. AC-1 sniper rifle and slug gun. We saw a reappearance of this Valkyrie later on in AC-3. Of course, a different pilot, but still carrying the namesake. And then in Nexus, you've seen this pop up a lot. But that was another really cool section. Um,
For all you people that say that we only talk about current gen, suck it.
yeah.
Punch you in the face again.
Here you have it. Here you have it. Hey, I'll tell you what too, real quick too about the Blue Zeo. The last time I saw it, it was $200.
Really?
Yeah, it's a
Where do you go shopping at?
last.
I'm not going.
Well, I just like I only stay at luxury hotels. I'm only going to shop at luxury malls. So, I mean,
That sounds like you.
yeah, we're not all plebeians, so. Some of us like to indulge in the higher things in life. I'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
it's dumb. It's dumb.
Oh
Down,
man.
get down here with the masses. What's that?
off my chair. All right, I'll get off the throne.
Chicks are hotter and they're looser.
Not as much high society to deal with.
Yeah, fuck that.
Fair enough, man. Good stuff.
Boy, I just derailed the show, didn't I?
Oh yeah, completely. But I love it. I mean, that's what a throwaway show is about. I think if you can't throw the show away at some point, what are you doing?
You know what? I don't think I'm ever going to be able to top the fact that I legitimately had a reason to talk about a giant horse cock. So, if I can get away with that,
then you have this.
then yes,
in the pocket.
this is not that bad. Legit topic, giant horse dick. So that was there. That was real.
Ricks can attest.
That was Armored Core content. Thank you, TM Raven, for that.
Into the posting sphere. That's going to be archived. It's just funny to think. Just some of the stuff that's going to be in the archive. It's like, yep, that was talked about. Wait, it's like, wait, what? The Armored Core. Love it.
Almost as good.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Do I need to say it? No, I'm
no. Yeah,
almost as good as double fingers in our slots.
There it is. Almost. Not quite.
If me talking about TM Raven's emblem is epic, you sir, you set the bar for legendary.
Blooper reel. That's beyond blooper reel material. No doubt.
Always easy to find, guys. It's the first show we did after our 5-part Gen 3 series.
And now you're going to direct them to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's okay. They'll take your corrupted view of it for a moment, but then hopefully they listen to the actual context.
Well, no, yeah, you have to. I mean, if you don't know the context to it, then it's not funny.
Well, see, and then you won't get the full punchline.
Because I mean, it's dirty and nasty, yes, but it's the fact that you didn't mean it like that at all is what's awesome about it, is that it works that way.
The best part, guys, is I get this from some of the other ACL staff too. Like we've had a couple of meetings where I came in and then the channel is like renamed to that. I'm like, really? So I know.
Me. You got mad at me.
Well, I assumed it was you first, and then it turned out to be Avalon. So there you have it. There you have it. It's undue, but
if we ever make T-shirts, that's what's going to be on the back.
Oh gosh.
Logo on the front. It's going to be the saying on the back.
That will be the collector's Tierson edition, and you will have to pay additional for that.
I will. Shit, I'll go make it tomorrow. I'll make it myself, and I'll wear it.
This guy. Oh man, coming up with some of our AC topics and things we were talking about. I know we're going to have the whatever said without the whole Katakawa deal, but this will be down the line too, and I'm just planning this here to get people thinking about mission structure in AC. I'm just kind of planting some early seeds for this here. All you got to do is literally look back at even like Last Raven, AC3, AC2, some of the others, 4 to a degree, but more like LR, and look at the structure that you had about multiple continuities and mission paths to what we have now. We've gone 2 Armored Core games with basically 10 missions, 10 prime, campaign missions, and that, being all. And things, I know it's because, well, we want a more online focused model. I can see that, but that's been a pretty drastic shift. I don't know about you, but I do miss being able to take my main against the Super Archangel Pulverizer and random stuff whenever I felt like it. I mean, today you can go run your main against Black Glint all day. I mean, have fun with that. But that's different.
You won't, but
oh, you won't. That's the best.
It sucks, man. Yeah, because I mean, this again was they didn't. They didn't create this, but in fact, it was a fairly basic concept of pick your own path. But I mean, back in the AC1 day, that was pretty innovative, and it was cool because when you first beat the game, you're like, "Whoa, what are these missions?" Because the path you chose opened and closed doors for you.
Yep.
And that was fairly innovative stuff. That was not, it was not completely innovative. They didn't write the script on that, but it was daring. It was daring to do that, and it was weird because there was content that you potentially never did, and that's something that developers just didn't do that much then.
You're right.
It gave the series kind of an RPG feel to it.
Yeah.
But, nowadays it's kind of like you don't really have a choice because you can choose to follow the story or you can choose just this trash over here. And not that it was bad, but they're just like versus stuff and small little missions, but none of it was really all that relevant.
Yeah.
None of it really mattered. It didn't help you to choose the path that you were taking.
Yeah, and one thing I always thought was kind of interesting about how From did it, again, multiple branching paths is not new. I mean, you even see this in Tekken, each ending, like if you get Ling's ending, that you can tell obviously that didn't happen, but it's like as though you're looking at an alternate timeline. Even with AC's alternate endings, they weren't like world-bendingly different. A lot of them, I'll look back in, for example, in LR, sure, in some of the endings there's more pilots alive, or you dealt with the invasion force differently in the end and things like that. But still, it comes this idea of resolving this war that's happening one way or another. Jump forward a bit to the last time we saw branching paths for Answer. You had a couple of, three, essentially different endings. And it's not drastically different. Even the quote unquote good, gentle ending, with the corporations and allied forces, it really felt like stalling for the ending that was quote unquote supposed to happen, the fall of the cradles and everything else. It never felt, this became the new canon. And From always did that. I felt they always managed to balance that pretty well. It always felt like you were heading towards one main resolution. This is just a slightly
Right.
different, slightly earlier or slightly different way of looking at it. So
Well, and with AC1, the very first one, I mean, it was the same ending no matter what you did, but
yeah,
that was the whole thing. It wasn't about the destination. It was about the path.
yep,
Were you humans plus? Were you a biped? Were you a quad? Were you whatever you needed to be for whatever mission? Did you randomly switch it up? I mean, yeah, your choices in missions would determine, and even your failures at times would determine other missions that you may or may not have access to. But it was all about, and that's the heart of the game. And when we talk about, okay, well, if they make an Armored Core after all this merger and all this stuff, will it be the Armored Core that it used to be? Will it
right,
have the heart that the series had? That's the heart of the series.
yeah,
Is that it's not about some storyline. It's that they take you through, which is why single player sucks so much in Armored Core now, because that's basically what happens. It's about you chose the path
hmm,
to the destination, and that's by creating your AC the way that you did, and by taking missions that could have severe consequences on the path that you did. And you always end up in the same place, obviously, but
yeah,
that's what's at the heart of it. At the heart of it, and that's what doesn't sell anymore.
yeah. Which is, like uber unfortunate, but there you have it. So
People don't want to think about putting together an awesome character, or in this case that character being a robot,
yeah,
and building that and stuff like that. Well, let me rephrase. It's not that people don't want it. There's not enough people that want
yeah.
it anymore. They want to plug in and they want to play and they want to get online and they want to troll people, or whatever.
Hyper fast accessibility, but
Yeah.
I and that's just
There's a place for that. I'm
there
sorry. Go ahead.
is no there is. It's funny you mention it. That's actually exactly where I was going. There is a context for that, but I think for those of us who've really delved not just into this series but other games similar to it, it's much more rewarding. I guess when you feel you walk through all those things, that customization, and putting those things. It wasn't something, just easy pick up and grab and go. This is something you really, looked at and then got into um, enjoying things online. And as for as simple as it was, even back on Kai, I richly appreciated, Kai matches because, whether someone got their design via forums and everything like that, it just always felt more interesting in that regard because I knew this, whoever's playing this on the other side, on the other screen, this was not an easily accessible game in the first place. Like, certain people are going to enjoy this and pick this up as is. So that's a pleasure in and of itself.
As much as I loved games like RPGs and MMOs and Armored Core, one of my favorite series ever was Unreal Tournament.
Good old UT.
And yeah, in Unreal Tournament 2003, 2004, I played the shit out of that. I was not one of the best players out there. I was a damn good player though. I was second tier. I did my job. I was reliable. I wasn't the best shot, but I sure as hell wasn't the worst. And the most you could do with that was pick your skin.
Yep.
Just pick how you look. Everybody played the same. Uh, you know, it doesn't have to always be about customization, obviously, and that's obviously where the game industry's gone. But it sucks because there's not a place for it anymore.
I think it's becoming a smaller platform. I mean, it's there in different forms and everything like that. But to really take that concept and take that model and to get super bold with it, to really expand the landscape for it and to get inventive with that again. I think that's the next thing a lot of customization freaks are really looking for. But to another time.
Maybe it'll come back around.
We'll
I'm
see.
sure.
We'll see.
These things. If you can look at older gaming genres like tabletop games and board games, and you can see that this comes in ebbs and flows. Games that are fairly complicated, and then games that are really simple. Dungeons and Dragons is one to look at where you can see this go up and down. Now I'm going to get real nerdy on you now. The original D&D was complicated for its time, but when you look at how complicated things got with as much as AD&D and the first edition and the second edition, and things got real simple with third edition. Third edition was not much far past
Right.
chutes and ladders, and and then they got complicated with it again, and it changes. And so maybe for the video game industry, maybe complicated, highly customizable games will come back.
Yep.
Maybe people will get sick of this. The games haven't been around that long. I mean, the progression of technology really hasn't allowed things to settle. It wasn't that long ago that things were, they were 8-bit.
Mm-hmm.
And but back then there were games that obviously were very simplistic, but then there were people on their computers trying to make really complicated, customizable games.
Yeah.
But with the way the technology has increased so quickly, it's hard to say. So, I bet we'll see it again someday.
Yeah.
Do I really think that again, obviously from my statements before, do I think that this merger and all this together with From Software and all these companies, Katakawa.
Yeah.
I always want to say kamikaze, almost for the irony of it though. Do I think that they'll make another game like with the Heart of Armored Core? No.
Right.
There's no place for it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll be that doomsayer again. Look at the sales. Even Armored Core's own base won't support it.
So there you have it. I think that's heck, dude. I think that's a good place to wrap.
Yeah, I have to get going here soon. I have to go work my third job of the day here.
So, again, thank you all for tuning in. Whenever or wherever you're listening to this from, you take it easy. You have a good weekend. Have a good one, and we will see you here next time.
Have a good weekend.